This is Just Informed Talk presents Defcon Bros, a podcast with myself, Craig James, and Nick No. You guys probably know Nick No. He's been my co-host on the radio show that I've been doing for the last 2.5 years. He's a U.S. Air Force veteran, Benghazi whistleblower, U.S. military intelligence insider, all-around good guy. So without further ado, I want to welcome him to the show. Welcome to the show, Nick. How you doing?
Thanks, Craig. I feel alive, baby. We're finally on live.
Yeah, and,
But
and
it's
this is a
video.
podcast. This is a new format for us. So we're going to be getting a lot of the kinks out here in the beginning. It's definitely a work in progress. But like we told you guys out there, when I ended my radio show on Thursday, October 30th, there were a lot of things that were going to happen in the next 24 hours that I wasn't expecting. One of which, and Nick knows this, is that I got my YouTube channel reinstated. So that's been an incredibly strange, but I guess positive turn of events, right, Nick? I mean, getting the channel back is pretty awesome.
Yeah, after what was it, 5 years and 17 days?
Yeah, 5 years and 17 days to the day.
Hmm.
I got parole from the digital gulag, right? I think
Yeah.
that's how I'd put it. They finally released me, so I'm out, I'm free, and we're going to be posting this show there on the Just Informed Talk YouTube channel. We're also going to be posting it over on rumble.com/Just Informed Talk. Here, let me pull those things up for everybody so you can see it. Here is the Twitter page, though, where I'm at Just Inform the number one. But we're going to post this video over here on Rumble, rumble.com/Just Inform Talk. We're also going to post it, obviously, to the newly republished channel, I guess you would say, Nick, right? So there it is. So we're back. I mean, what do you think? I don't know why they did it. I felt like there was a few things that went through my head when they gave me my channel back, Nick. It was like the first thing I thought was, okay, they're about to pull another false flag, and they need us back on there so they can hang it all on us, like another January 6th type deal is coming. But so that's why we're all back. So there's that. I don't know. I mean, what do you think? Is that probably it or no?
I don't know. I just think it's all very strange. I went and looked at the YouTube channel, and one of the last videos you posted before that's up there anymore was about the handoff with the data to Matt Gates with the treasonous information about all the government officials. And
Wait,
I
who
thought
handed off data to Matt Gates? I don't who was that guy?
that was me. I handed it to him in
Yeah,
his
I remember.
hand.
Yeah, that was a crazy day. We were. I think that was when we were in Miami, right?
Yeah,
And then you went up to what was it, Tampa or something to go, or was that in Miami? I forget.
it was the airport in Miami because they were doing a Trump rally there.
Yeah, and you went and met him, and you handed him the flash drive with all the information on it, and then a lot of things happened there, and then they deleted my channel, right? And they deleted a bunch of other channels. And that's when the censorship started. That's when they stole the 2020 election. That's when it all kind of came together. And now here we are, like I said, 5 years later, and we're back on YouTube, which is a weird and strange thing, you know?
Yeah. And what's even more strange, it was 5 years and 17 days. I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah, and you know, it was funny, crazy thing. I was on Twitter today and I saw Matt Gates posted a Q. Did you see that?
On the pallet, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here, let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see if we can share that one. I had that one pulled up here. Let's see. I got all these posts. Yeah, right here. Matt Gates, former Congressman Matt Gates posted a Q palette. So interesting stuff. Nick, you know, it's been a while since we've been together on this YouTube channel. The last time I think we were featured together on anything, it was apart from the radio show, which we did together for over a year, almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Here in the Front Range of the Colorado Rockies. we were last featured on the HBO Max documentary Q Into the Storm, a documentary which was created and finished by Cullen Hoback and produced and played over there on HBO Max. I wasn't very happy with how the documentary came out, as far as the content and the conclusions were. But that's neither here nor there. What did you think of the documentary as it came out?
Oh man, yeah, yeah. He definitely just went after you, man. He really tried to paint you in a bad light. And you know what's it's really funny because we just came back from a banquet, right? And we and drink you get your two or three free drinks or something, and then everybody's partying, like having a good time, and then everybody went home to their hotels, and I went to go visit at yours, and all of a sudden he shows up. He's like, shows up with the camera, and then I'm not going to name the other person that was with him. You're like, you can't be here. You got to go. And then this is the best part. We had our friends from, let's just say, they were interested in what we were doing, and they were helping and appreciated our help. And they were
Are
sitting
you
in
talking
the
about all
room
the
with us.
NSA guys that were following us around everywhere while we were there?
Yeah, yeah, and then of course, this is one of the guys. No one really knows this, but the guy sitting across from us is General Flynn's IT guy, and he's a really good dude. He started out on I think it's something Roadshow, Q Roadshow, or something like that. He was out there selling T-shirts and stuff, and that's when he first met General Flynn and Joe Flynn. I think he met Joe Flynn, and they became friends, and then it went from there. But yeah, he got the business from the FBI because he went to go work for General Flynn and he was helping him and stuff. And then his company that was paying him very well because he's a very knowledgeable guy. Brian's his name, and they fired him because they're like, oh, the FBI is interested in asking questions. We don't want anything to do with you now, and you're fired. But he's now he was working for General Flynn as his IT guy last I knew. It was really cool. Yeah, and those people did work for the government. They were right behind us, and Cullen had no idea. He had no idea.
Oh, he had an
The
idea, but I don't know who Cullen was working for. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to say anything beyond that. I have my suspicions, as I'm sure many people do. But beyond that, that was the last time we were together, right? That was the last time we were together on this channel. Was before that, I guess probably we had you on the show a couple times. And so here we are. We're back with Nick, and I want to make a few things clearer, I guess, on updates, right? What's been going on with the Q operation, where we're at with it. Nick, what's your update on where we're at with Q?
Well, there are a lot of strange things that you can't really look away from. You see how President Trump went to the FBI and had a speech. He said that we're going to put you guys back to your original mandate. And before 9/11, their original mandate was just interstate crime, and major federal stuff, but it didn't have anything to do with espionage, counterintelligence, um, or that sort of stuff. And now that's all been delegated back to the military. So, so maybe Chuck Schumer, he's got friends over at the FBI. He's saying, "Oh, is everything all right? You hearing anything about me?" No, no. Oh, okay, okay, I'll keep doing my regular thing, the diddle. And then, of course, the military has been listening the whole time. And it's just so funny because even in 2021, after they stole the election, and Space Force was not even subject to the Posse Comitatus laws until 2021. And so they got it all, man. They got it all, and then some. And so, update on Alan too. So Alan and I were very good friends. I mean, very, very close friends. We would talk at least once a day for a very long time until his house got raided. He tried to do the right thing. He went to the FBI and
Alan
said, "Look,
Perot. We want to
yeah,
make sure we're Alan Perot, who is you
Falcon
explain who
trainer."
he is.
He's a Falcon trainer that lived in the Middle East for like 20 something years, but they didn't treat him as an employee because he never took money from them, like the same way, you would take money. He did business with them, but anyway, they treat him like family though, because he's the foremost Falcon expert in the world. And there's no one that even comes close to the way he can train falcons. So they had to have him out there, and they don't go, smoking, cigars and drinking cognac and playing cards and doing that sort of thing. Those guys go on these excursions where they go falcon hunting. And so Alan was in the thick of all of this and he recorded everything. And honestly, like thinking about what he did, that was extremely dangerous. At any given time, if they found him out, he was a goner. And so Alan gets out of there, and he has all this data, and we're talking, you can get terabytes, but like the professional ones you would have for storage at a company, you have these big racks, right? He had racks and racks and racks of these terabytes of recordings of all these people, and then he had all the documents too. And then, he's got everything, even on Brennan. That guy was such an idiot. Brennan, dude, and they made fun of Brennan all the time. Brennan thought he was in with them. No, they didn't like him. It's the best. But so we stopped talking though, because he got raided. I didn't understand all of a sudden one day he stopped talking to me. I was like, what's going on with Alan? Something must have happened. And I didn't even find out he got raided until like 6 months later. And then, so I thought to myself, okay, you're gonna grab all the stuff and you're gonna hide it. Okay. Okay. And so what did I do? I waited because I knew at some point someone was going to come along that was honest and would do the right thing and goes by the book. All right. And who comes along as the next FBI director after President Trump's reelected? Kash Patel. Kash Patel is honest to a fault, I think, in a lot of regards, because, he's one of those guys that'll be like, we don't have enough to prosecute. No, can't do it. And he goes by the book. I need XYZ or else this can't happen. So you know what I did? I had someone that was in direct contact with him frequently. I told them, I said, hey, those 9/11 trials that just started after 17 years? You know what? They got the wrong guys. You need to tell Kash Patel that there is a cache of data that needs to go over to these military tribunals. And by law, he has to go do that. It's called exculpatory evidence, because the prosecutors have to provide any information that makes their defendant look better in a more positive light or whatever it is. And so Cash took that data over to the 9/11 tribunals. I know that this happened. At least someone I trust said that it did, and someone I trust asked me. I asked them, who talks to him every day, to tell him about this, because as soon as he hears it, he's 100% by the book. Then he legally is obligated to get that cache of data that shows who the real culprits are behind 9/11 and take it over there to Guantanamo Bay. There are two large courthouses that were built out, against the will of the Biden administration. And Catherine Herridge reported on that one. And I thought to myself, and they made it separate from the regular Guantanamo Bay base. So there are two giant courthouses, a skiff. And at that time, I was a defense contractor too. I had my company registered and everything. And I was looking through, contracts, and then one of them that came up was to do a live broadcast from Guantanamo Bay. Someone was awarded that contract, so at some point we're going to have a live broadcast from there with some people, probably for 9/11. I don't know, but because
Or they're live broadcasting it internally.
that could be true too. That's true. But in the end, I think that's probably why Dick Cheney left this world yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? Because then there's a plane that crashed that,
You're
had
saying
some,
the every dog has its day McCain connection back to Q, right?
yeah, yeah. The events that happened with the plane crash the next day, I think were basically a swipe at the good guys saying, whatever. Or it could be the good guys showing that, maybe it's a, I don't know, maybe it's a, maybe it's a psyop, who knows? But all of the coincidences with that make it look like he didn't leave on his own terms or just fall asleep and then, drift
I
off and
and I think that what you're saying more overly, because we're talking about QAnon, is that the Q operation now is in its kinetic form.
yes.
Whereas it was in an informational warfare state when we were actively participating in it, not as architects or even contract contractors, but as just participants of of an information dissemination operation that we were clearly engaged in, right? I mean, in our respective roles, as it were. So
Yeah, it was a
now,
revolution.
yeah, so now that's where I think it's at, and I think you're right that there are so many different things happening. So to bring it back though to the where the queue is now, clearly that's where you think it is. It's just things are happening that we have to adapt to, that there's information that's being exchanged, that there's information that's going to be exculpatory for some, incriminating for others,
Mhm.
that is going to have implications that are broad, some of which will be sealed under national security, for national security, and we'll never know. Some of which we'll know and we'll see. I think that's a good summary of where it's at, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see more and more an acceleration, I think, to the denouement, the resolution, and these guys are going to fight back. And I know that they've subdued a lot of them, but there's still all of these networks. There's still money. Remember all the money from USAID and all that other stuff. It's still floating out there. And don't forget about the Safari Club too. So there's going to be all kinds of false flags, and they're going to try the best they can. It's a cornered animal. It's like, going after a cornered animal. And I have a lot that I want to talk about that's happened in between, such as the Pennsylvania assassination attempt. I have direct knowledge of exactly what was given to Congress and some other things like that, of who was really involved with those things. And all the way from that to audio recordings, I'm going to play that I've got of certain people, and I think that, over time here, we can make sure that it gets disseminated and everybody gets to understand what was really going on from, since the time we met until now. And like I said, there's been stuff going on in the background for a long time, and I know a lot more positive things that have been going on than have been announced on television. And, I'll share some of the things that I do know and I have, but I got to be careful with that because some of the things that I have could be damaging to other countries, and we're trying to make peace. So we'll have to edit some of that stuff to make sure certain things aren't published.
Yeah, I think that's something that is sort of, we'll use that as a teaser for this show going forward, assuming that we're able to keep doing these shows, God willing. That's sort of the content that we're going to focus on getting to the bottom of. We're also going to be doing any number of stories that you can imagine. We're going to be covering them as they come out of the news. That's what the Defcon Bros podcast is going to be about. I hope you guys like the name. I hope you guys enjoy it. And yeah. However, I always tell you guys, if you're not subscribed to these channels, make sure you do it. Rumble.com/Just Talk and YouTube.com/Just Talk. Subscribe there. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you go follow on Rumble in case they delete my channel again. In case you want to keep getting this content, probably be a good thing to do. Um, And with that being said, I want to talk about yesterday, or not, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I guess 2 days ago now. Zoran Mamdani, the communist, wins the election for mayor in New York City. Now, this story is one of those stories that, as you see it sort of unfold, you're kind of like, okay, I think I know where this is going, but New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani giving his speech after his win here says some interesting things to President Trump. Let's go ahead and listen to this right here.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him.
Nice.
And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power.
Cool.
This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one.
Perfect.
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Okay. Turn the volume up, Trump. You need to hear this next part, right?
It's probably got 30 people there. They make it sound better.
Hold bad landlords to account, because the Donald Trumps of our city have grown far too comfortable taking advantage of their tenants.
The Donald Trumps of our city.
We will put an end to the culture of corruption that has allowed billionaires like Trump to evade taxation and exploit tax breaks.
Yeah, Larry Silverstein.
We
Yeah.
will stand alongside unions and expand labor protections, because we know, just as Donald Trump does, that when working people have ironclad rights, the bosses who seek to extort them become very small indeed.
Oh.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Right.
We got to change the
Immigrant.
laws about that.
Yeah, somewhere down the line we made a mistake. I don't know where, but definitely we made a mistake somewhere.
So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us.
What does that even mean?
If
Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
You
who
have
does
to get
even
through
who's
all
all of us? Who does he represent? Not New
people in
York.
that room, I guess. All of New York,
Yeah.
everybody in New York, excluding, I guess, the 50% of people or 49% of people that didn't vote for him. Because that's the numbers. If you look at the race and how it breaks down, it was the Curtis Sliwa and Andrew Cuomo basically took about 50% of the vote, and he and Mamdani won like 48 or 49%. So it wasn't like a one of those victories where he took everything. I mean, really, it was the Cuomo running in the third party, and Mamdani probably would have won by more if Cuomo hadn't run. So that's why I always think, it's like I don't think he would have lost, but I do think that this is a statement on where we're at as a society, and a lot of people are freaking out about this, Nick. And I was telling you when we were talking before the show that, you know, I'm excited. I'm happy about this. I could care less what happens to New York City. I don't know anyone that lives there. It's a cesspool. I've been there. It smells like garbage and feces. And most of the things that are produced that come from New York are arguably some of the most detrimental things to society at large, whether it's art or music or the economy, the economic sector. So as far as I'm concerned, destroy the city metaphorically. I'm not calling for destruction, but like, yeah, put a communist in, let it burn to the ground. This is the best thing you can do for the next election cycle for Republicans and conservatives in this country overall is let communism let it go in a place you don't care about, and that if it goes away, if New York City disappears tomorrow, it's not gonna affect my life. Is it gonna affect your life, Nick?
No, not at all. I'd make sure, I hope that everybody's fine if New York City was lost. But New York's pretty crazy right now. Everybody's getting stabbed. And if you go try and report them, you're racist. It's it's insane. Remember that one guy? He even he saved people on the subway from a guy that was a violent
Yeah,
leftist.
Daniel Penny, right? Wasn't that his name?
Yeah. Yeah. And then this guy over in North Carolina can stab a woman in the neck and then get out on bail the next day, after he's been arrested 30 times or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, my opinion is like I could care less what happens in New York City. I mean, there's good people in New York City. Maybe you're watching this show from New York City. I don't know. But I'm not saying that I want you or individuals to suffer, but I think first of all, I've been to New York City. I've spent some time there. It's a miserable place. The people are miserable, and I don't blame them because if I lived in a city, where there's no nature and there's no, it's the concrete jungle in its most true form, it's just a miserable place with miserable people. And there are a lot of good conservatives there. I'm not saying there aren't, but at the end of the day, nobody wants to live in New York, right? I mean, most people live there because of like a job opportunity or some sort of, tie there that they really can't get out of. They would rather be in the country where I'm at. Who wouldn't want to live in beautiful? You've seen where I live. I've seen where you live, Nick. We live in
Hmm.
beautiful God's country, flyover country, right? They say they just fly right over us. Well, keep going because nobody wants you to stop here. As far as I'm concerned, like you could just pack your bags and stay there. But if they destroy New York, it's going to be their own fault, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people are fleeing New York. They have been for years, and they're taking their terrible ideas elsewhere. After they sell their house that they had for 2 years, it's gone up $1 million in value, and then they take that money, pay overprice wherever they go, price out the locals. There needs to be, I don't know. I saw Texas did this. They put a tariff on anybody moving from New York City uh, over there to Texas. That sounds like a good idea. I think that that should happen so that you don't have these people with bad ideas and lots of money coming to influence your small little towns.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, if that is the case, they should do it. And look, I think people should be able to flee. I don't want them to be stuck there as it crumbles and decays. But you know, at the end of the day, whatever happens with this Mom Dami guy, it's going to be hilarious and it's going to be wonderful. And he's going to be a 24-hour ad campaign for the conservatives. And it's just going to make our case even stronger. It maybe, sometimes you can't just tell people, you have to show them. You know, you can tell people about communism, but most of the people who lived under communism aren't alive anymore. And the few that are still traumatized this day. I grew up in South Florida with all the Cubans who fled Castro. And they
Yeah.
told me, firsthand, every Cuban I knew told me communism is evil. You do not want to live under it. It is the most corrupt and broken system you'll ever be a part of. And all it does is breed, destruction and chaos. And so that was that's what I knew about communism. And that's how I experienced it growing up. I mean, I saw people who fled it firsthand accounts. It's horrific.
Man, I actually like the Cuban immigrants that escaped communism. All of them, just like you said, they don't want anything to do with communism, which is great.
And
I
they're all
like
like
getting them over
super
here.
conservative and super Christian. I mean, I have nothing. Those are the kind of people you're like, all right, I understand where you're coming from. So here's another interesting story I wanted to touch on. So, Mom Dami got in, and Mom Dami, one of his claims, Nick, is he's saying he's gonna basically create a situation or a scenario where if Trump tries to bring ICE in to enforce the law to deport the illegals, that he's going to, I don't know, basically block him from coming in, I guess. Here was Trump's response to that when he was asked about that at a press conference. Let me share this clip here.
Your beloved, Mr. President, your beloved New York City. Your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zorhan Mandami, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE
and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zorhan Mandami.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets 1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Yeah, well,
because that's what we should send him.
Yeah, well, like some people say Florida gets more because they count Social Security recipients, but that's not money to the state. Those are seniors that live here. If they move to North Carolina, you could count it there. So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more in the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. He's, we're going to look at everything, but and ideally. He's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. You know, I've always said, we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skipped socialism. And you get a lot of them like that. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, that was Trump on it. And I thought that was interesting, Nick, where you have Trump laying out like, A, we'll arrest him if he tries to block ICE. I love it. And then the funniest thing is Trump's like, well, a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. So maybe ICE will have to just pick him up while they're there. Like that's epic. That's epic trolling. And, I think that we'll have to see how that plays out. What do you think, Nick?
I think it's hilarious in a way because, like you said, we're just let them destroy themselves. When Iran had the liberals get the new guy come in, Khomeini, I forget who it was that won their election. They're all like, yes, we're gonna have this guy come in, and then he killed all of them.
Yeah, no, it was actually wild. You're talking about when Ayatollah Khomeini took over in Iran, and they're like the women without the hijabs driving through the streets, like, yeah, we got him in. It's like 3 months later, they're all like in jail or dead. It's like, well, sometimes you get what you ask for. And that's what I'm saying about New York City. Like, look, I don't want people to suffer. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that these liberals, right, and in many ways, they've been pushed to this because of the economy and because of the corrupt system in which we exist, right? And I get it because they're just lashing out. It's like they're just reaching out and saying, all right, I'll take anything that'll save me. But again, no one forced you to get an overpriced degree. Nobody forced you to live in the most populated city in the country. Nobody's forced you to do any of these things that you're doing to yourself and destroying, not only yourself, but the world around you because you can't fathom how, I think somebody put it like this. They were like, people with Ivy League educations are pissed off because their degree is worth less than some guy who knows how to run an oil drill out in the Balkans or in the Midland, Texas, out in the fields, the oil fields of Midland, Texas. That guy's making a lot more money than you're ever going to make with your feminist basket weaving degree, right? So it's absolutely, you understand where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, whose fault is that? I would argue it's their parents, right? The parents weren't there. They didn't tell them. They didn't encourage them to do. Like if your mom or dad didn't tell you to go get a STEM degree, and they encourage you to get your, gender fluidity theory degree in, women's studies, that's on you. That's on your parents. That's on you for saying yes to it. That's why you're working at a menial job in HR, yelling at people for, inappropriate comments on social media, right?
Yeah, it's outrageous. And the thing is, these people, they don't ever want to take personal accountability. And that's what communism is all about is, it's not my problem. Let's just take everything from everyone and then, divvy it out. Then there's no more problems, right? Because everybody's got money. That's the way they see it. But little do they know that communism stifles creativity and even the tradition of free speech is squandered, in those situations. Basically, America as we know it, it cannot coexist with communism or Islam for that matter.
Yeah. And that's exactly where we're heading toward at a lightning speed right now, right? We're heading there toward this impasse where it's going to be these incompatible things are going to keep becoming a part of our day-to-day life unless we stop it, right?
Yeah, but you know what we could do? We could use this guy. We should invite him on the show and be like, "Hey, how do you feel about the Federal Reserve? Don't you think that's a usury system? We should get rid of it." And he'd be like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
Yeah, get all the
perfect.
liberals on board with it. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that's sort of like political jujitsu, right? You gotta use their momentum against them in a certain way, and yeah, there is an appeal there. I think there's going to be a huge appeal to the when this fails, which it will, obviously. There's going to be a number of disillusioned leftists. I mean, there's going to be the people who are like out there, like these women who vote and make your skin cringe when you listen to them speak. Like, I have a good one here. Let's listen to AOC right after. Speaking of women who I can't stand, I love women, by the way. I would say that as a precursor to it. It's not all women, but there are some out there, and I think we all know who they are. Here's one of them. Let's listen to AOC.
Trump has long threatened to pull funding from this city. We know that there's a plan to bring more ICE agents here soon. And he's been very clear about the fact. He endorsed Cuomo last night in the 11th hour. Are you at all afraid of what that fight is going to look like in the coming weeks? Do you think Mom Donnie is ready to take on President Trump?
Well, it doesn't surprise me. President Trump is a 34-time convicted felon, and he is endorsing a sexual harasser that has multiple accusations, very credible accusations and investigations against them. Birds of a feather, they flock together, and we have to understand how grave this threat is. We know that Donald Trump has not only been convicted of committing crimes, but that the Supreme Court has given him a blank check to continue to commit crimes while in office. So we cannot underestimate the threat and the danger of this moment, but we cannot respond to that threat with cowardice. We cannot respond to that threat with complying in advance. We have to respond to that threat with a strong, organized, cohesive, and strategic effort to fight for working families, rule of law, and civil rights for every American across age, ethnicity, gender, and geography. And I believe that we can do that.
Yeah, I agree with her. I think she's obviously figured it out. We need more communists is what we need, and that's probably going to make our country much better, right?
I don't think she's ever had an original thought. I'm not
Oh
sure
yeah,
that she.
that was just a completely packaged, response. You could tell that she's been rehearsing that for the last week or two just so she can say it just right. Liberal dog abusing psychopath Hassan Piker was in attendance at the Mamdani coronation, communist coronation, if you will. And that went about as you thought it would. Let's listen to him on how he really feels about the United States and the USSR.
Done. What do you think it means that this guy ran as a socialist and anti-communism didn't work to stop him? That's big.
Yeah, I think we are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. And the reality of the matter is, there's a lot of antagonism. There's no class consciousness in the United States of America. It's one of the things that I try to address every day with my commentary. And I will say this, the conditions have deteriorated so much that everyday Americans, in spite of their lack of class consciousness, are finally arriving at the conclusion that perhaps there is an alternative out there. There is an alternative that focuses on them as opposed to the interests of the billionaires and the millionaires, as opposed to the interests of the capital owners. And I mean, you can't help but notice that. You can't help but feel at least a little bit of excitement around that.
And also the significance.
Done.
I'm gonna just ask: is Hassan Piker himself a millionaire? I would imagine he is, which is the ultimate irony of it all. It's always the entitled, douchiest, weirdest, most evil and violent people who are also millionaires, who are the hypocrites who are saying we should be communist, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course, because when communism rolls around, they've already got the cash in the bank. It doesn't matter for them.
Yeah, and then here's like an example of the typical, voter from this base. And I want to play this clip because it shows you exactly what you need to know about it. So let me pull this up real quick here and play this for you guys.
Here protesting.
My name is Michelle, and I'm out here protesting because I'm against fascism.
Okay. What is fascism?
Fascism is words hard. Fascism is
words are hard. Yes.
Authoritarian. Why are words so hard right now? Sorry. Fascism is an authoritarianism that is about focusing on one demographic, right? So it's
yes.
I'm out of breath now.
Wise beyond her years.
It's taking over and excluding the people, excluding
Yes.
smaller demographics, and it's squashing opposition.
Squashing
right?
opposition.
It's
Genius.
a regime that takes over for themselves and not for the actual people. This is supposed to be a democracy that is for the people, but this is just for them, and that's what fascism is.
Yeah, totally. Nick, did you catch all that? Did you catch
Yeah, that poor girl has no idea what she's doing. She probably got a Facebook invite, and she's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll meet you over for some coffee before, and then we can go protest."
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened, and that's the hilarious part of it all is that, this is enigmatic. This is emblematic, excuse me, of what you see in the left, right? You can do these man on the street interviews and you can just walk up to any of them and ask. And if they'll do the interview, if they're not being, gate kept by the organizers saying like, do not speak, do not engage, do not approach, do not engage. You're just going to see this like never ending onslaught of imbecile after imbecile after imbecile try to explain things that they don't understand, that they get manipulated by these people in so many different ways. I mean, that was one of many examples I could have pulled up. This was, and this is what we get to do. So I wanted to play this because, all right, so this clip I want to play now real quick is sort of showing how it's shaped through these small pieces of pop culture that can ultimately, they're getting better, I should say, at using these systems to convince people. And you understand what I mean when I play this clip. Let me play this real quick.
The name is Mamdani. M-A-M-D-A-N-I.
There it is. Right?
The name is Mamdani. M-A-M-D-A-N.
So the you can see up here, it's the music, it's the TikTok brain, it's the 30-second clip, and it says up here, POV, you wanted to move to a Muslim country, but your city became one. Ha! Perfect, right, Nick?
Oh, it's outrageous. These people have no idea what they're getting themselves into. It's really funny.
Well, to top it all off, one of the, I guess, Muslim influencers that helped get Mamdani elected went on to TikTok shortly after the win and said this, interestingly enough. Let's listen to her explain what the next step is here after Mamdani has been elected.
All right, y'all, the Islamic Caliphate in New York starts now. That means we are all converting to Islam. I've already got one friend converted tonight. So the lines to begin conversion will begin tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. There will be mosques being built on every single block. But in the meantime, start outside my door. I am happy to help you convert, happy to be there on your journey. If you'd rather do it with somebody else, totally understand. You have to be safe, you have to be comfortable. But I'm so glad to have you, my brothers, my sisters, my siblings, on this journey.
There you go, Nick. We're all going to convert to Islam now with Mamdani in charge. How could this ever fail? See, I'm of the opinion, this is why I'm so happy that this happened. And I mean that in the sense that I don't want to see communists get elected in America, but it couldn't have happened to a better place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really feel like this is going to be perfect. Like it's going to be hilarious,
I can't
actually.
wait till James O'Keefe wears a wig and finds him on Grindr and sets him up, dude.
I don't think he cares, to be honest. I mean, he was I saw that there were clips going around online. He was going to gay nightclubs ahead of the election. That was his.
Saw that.
And I'm like, dude, you're a Muslim and you're going to gay nightclubs. Like, how absolutely retarded are the people? And I think, homosexuality is an abomination. I think it's evil at its core, and that it's a demonic force that is really destroying society. But I mean, the idea that the gays are like, cheering on the Muslim jihadi communists is like, somebody make it make sense. I can't put heads or tails to that one.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And what's real crazy about it is that like half the Muslim world over there have budgie boys and all these other things, but it ain't gay, you know?
Yeah, no, yeah, the bocce boys in Afghanistan. That's a good point. The men who sleep with young boys because it's haram to sleep with women out of marriage, so they do it with boys instead. And Allah is okay with that, by the way. Apparently,
animals are okay too.
Yes, sheep or goats.
Look, I got to tell you the truth. I used to watch these drone feeds all the time, right? When I used to work in the Air and Space Operations Centers, it happened all the time, man. These poor goats, dude. I don't know. And they would take turns. They'd be standing next to each other waiting for their turn. It's disgusting. Sorry, I had to say that. It's the truth. So
that's disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, miserable white liberal podcast witch Jennifer Welch showed up to Mamdani's communist coronation the other night. And this is what she had to say about white people. Although the irony being she herself is a white person, although I'm sure she's very sad about that. Listen to this.
If it was all white people here right now, it would be boring as shit. I've grown up in those circles. Everybody needs some spice and some color in their lives. Life's a lot better. That's the coolest thing about America. Americans have no culture except for multicultural.
Well said.
And we need to teach people how to embrace that. These crusty white people need to learn how to embrace it.
These crusty white people have no culture except multiculturalism, Nick. What'd you think?
Yeah, communism's amazing. A milli. Come on, man. They're so stupid.
That is a great point. The song in the background is literally a rap song about becoming a millionaire and like consuming through capitalistic ventures the most you could. And they're like, white people got no culture, man. Like, all right. Well, whatever your culture is, I don't want it. Keep it. Take it and throw it in the garbage because I don't want whatever this multiculturalism is thing that you're talking about is. I don't want it, Nick. What about you?
Yeah, it seems like only European countries with predominantly white people and the United States was, and I think we might still have a majority of white people for now. Is out here saying multiculturalism is what makes us strong, but nobody else gets to do that. Nobody else does that, but only those countries.
Strength, Nick. It's our strength. It's
diversity is our strength. Stunning and brave.
Yes, having mentally ill men in children, young female locker rooms is good. If the gym coach decides he identifies as a lady, he should be able to watch them shower if he wants,
Yeah, even a woman in New York City, she was at Gold's Gym just the other day, and there's a man inside of her locker room. This woman's a lesbian, and she's like, get these men out of this locker room.
Wait a minute. Oh, hell no. Yeah, she ain't having that. Ain't nobody got time for that, she says. This is what you get, though. You get what you make your bed, you lie in it. That's my opinion. And this is, to me, this is where we're at as a nation. So it's sad, it's unfortunate, but that's where we are. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. And I say that because of this, Nick. This is our inaugural podcast, and I know you got stuff you got to do. I got stuff I got to do today. So we got other stuff. We're gonna probably definitely work on this format, work on everything. Hopefully it gets better. Um, but what do you think of our first podcast so far?
You got to start somewhere, and it's been fun, man. It's always a good time. We just come up here, look at the news, and then, speculate and then make fun of those trashy people like that say, "Yay, communism!" A milli, a milli, a milli,
Yeah.
a milli. What?
Yeah, and I wanna make a couple announcements here. First announcement is we're going to have this podcast regularly. It should be on Thursdays. That's when we're going to try to post, maybe Fridays. Matter of fact, I think we may record on Thursday, post on Friday. I don't know. But that's probably what it's going to come down to. I may even post this show tomorrow because of timing and everything, but we'll see. However, like I said before, make sure you go over and find me on the channels. Find us on these channels. Rumble.com/justinformedtalk, YouTube.com/justinformedtalk. And wherever you're watching this, whether it's there or YouTube or Rumble, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share it. Make sure you're subscribed and set up and all that stuff. Also, I am currently working on a long form series that is going to be covering the history of QAnon. And I've started it. I've shown Nick a little bit of it. What I've got just starting now. It's going to be a multi-episode series, and it's going to be long-form content. Look for that to be coming out in the next, I don't know, let's say the next week or so. I'll have episode 1 up. The title of it is going to be, should I say the title, Nick, or should I wait?
Say the title.
Okay, so the title of the series is called Q Clearance Patriot, and it's going to be Just Informed Talk presents Q Clearance Patriot. It's going to be a history of QAnon, basically where it started, the different storylines within QAnon, the things that were not covered by the fake news media, the things that have been covered up since by the fake news media, and the proofs and everything else that you could imagine. It's going to be an interesting series that I'm working on. It's taking a lot of time, but look forward to that. Let me know if you have any ideas for that down in the comments. Let us know what you think of this show down in the comments. We appreciate that thoroughly. And also, before we wrap it up, a couple other things I want to do. But first, Nick, your final thought for the show. What do you think?
My final thought. Ooh, we got a big storm coming, baby. And we can't wait to see it because it's going to get really, really stormy really soon. We got these guys that are going to stay over at military bases now. They're in Trump's administration to make sure that they're safe. That's something you do. You don't do that for, if you have a foreign war that you're about to have. It's an internal war. So something big is about to happen, and a big move is going to probably shake this country to its core really soon.
And that's a little teaser for episode 2 of Defcon Bros, which is what we're calling this podcast for all intents and purposes. That's what it's going to be named. Just Informed Talk presents Defcon Bros, whatever. You got to get the branding right. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting, and appreciate that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to leave you guys with some scripture like we do at the end of every show. Today, just want to talk about how our faith triumphs over all. And we have a verse here I'll pull up real quick just to show you guys on screen. And it says this. This is Romans chapter 5, by the way, 1-5. Therefore, since we have been declared righteous by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. We have also obtained access through him by faith into this grace in which we stand, and we rejoice in the hope of the glory of God. Not only that, but we also rejoice in our afflictions, because we know that affliction produces endurance, endurance produces proven character, and proven character produces hope. This hope will not disappoint us, because God's love has been poured out in our hearts through the Holy Spirit who was given to us. Now, I'm sharing that verse particularly today because a lot of people are feeling affliction after on Tuesday, the election, right? A lot of people are feeling it. They're feeling hopelessness. They're feeling like, things are happening that are going against them, that are going to, hurt them or their family or this country. But remember that if we don't go through this affliction, then we'll never be able to produce the proven character and the hope that God needs us to have to be able to go forward and succeed. So that's my message to all of you out there. And if you haven't accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior, I always make that invitation at the end of every show. And one more thing I want to share is this. If you guys want to support this show and you want to support what we're doing here, please feel free, like, share, subscribe, pray for us, all that. That helps. But there's also a way you can give. And we're looking for monthly donations. If you're able, you got to go to givesendgo.com/justinformedtalk. I'll leave links to all this below, but feel free to support this channel if you are willing and able. That would be awesome. We really appreciate it. But with that being said, almost forgot. I'd be remiss if I forgot to mention one of our first and most awesome sponsors, our good friends over at God's Feeding Station. God'sFeedingStation.org. It's an online ministry, 100% free for you to use. All you got to do is go check them out today. They have Bible studies, daily devotionals, other scripture-based content. They also have an app you can download under the name God's Feeding Station. We're so thankful to be partnered up with them. Our good friend, Henry Loke, God's Feeding Station. It's an amazing ministry, an online ministry. I hope you guys go check them out. But with that, Nick, anything else? Am I missing anything? I try to get through all the announcements there at the end.
Well, listeners, when you stay with us, we're going to end up taking you down some rabbit holes, and with current events, we're going to be able to see things in real time and see through the lies and see the real truth and what's really happening. It's going to be wonderful, and don't forget that in the end, God wins.
Amen, brother. So that's where we're going to leave it. I want to thank everybody for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Nick. We'll just sign off there. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.